Do your horses do this to your pasture? Eat it down to the dirt, really super short, when they have available to them all this tall stuff? Well, welcome to Ball Acres, where we believe in showing you the real stuff of life and let you know that you are not alone. Even though horses are extremely picky eaters, I have witnessed our horses eating giant ragweed, which they absolutely love, stinging nettle, and whatever this plant is. The mules will eat this thing. They seem to really like it. I'm not sure what it is. So hopefully I'm getting a good picture and somebody out there can let me know, what is this plant? Oh, there's a bug on there. So at the beginning, we ran this roughly 3-acre pasture as one whole continuous pasture, and the horses just roamed around and ate whatever they wanted, and we ended up with really tall stuff that they did not want to eat because that's where they pooped, and then they ended up with really short stuff that they just kept going to over and over and over again, and the ground got absolutely no rest and no recoup time. So then we divided it into 3 sections, well actually 2 sections to begin with. There's the original section over there, and so we had the front and the back, and so we would rotate them back and forth between putting them in the front, putting them in the back, and they're always in the back longer because it was the biggest piece. And from there we added this 3rd section, this 3rd fence right here, so we could rotate them between the 3, and depending on the weather and stuff, they would probably stay in each one of these for about 5 days to 7 days. And that helped. It improved a lot. We were able to run 6 horses on roughly 3 acres for a majority of the summer without having to supplement any hay. We also would only let them graze during the day. So we would pin them up at night, and in the morning, when we would get up super duper early and go to work, we would let them out in the pasture so they could graze during the day. Theory behind that is horses will graze more at night than they will during the heat of the day. During the heat of the day, they want to be in their little loafing shed and swatting flies and just chilling out. So we saved a ton of grass only by letting them graze during the day. So my advice is, if you're very limited on pasture and you can, pin them up at night when they want to graze more, turn them out during the day so that they can eat, because they're actually not going to be out there eating very much. So from our 3-division, 3-pasture system that we had developed, we decided to go get some of these step-in posts and some poly braid and started experimenting with rotating them even more. So we would divide the 3 sections up into whatever we felt was good. So if we had a really, really short spot, we would rope off that really short spot and not let them graze it. And I tell you what, we had some really upset animals because they really, really, really wanted to be in here with the new growth. Here is the section that the horses absolutely have been eating down for years, and we've roped it off and we don't let them in here, and it's recovering and it's looking pretty good. It's still super short, I mean, look at that, but it's getting there. Granted, we are in a drought. We've had a ½ inch of rain in like 2.5 months, and I had put these posts out here, was going to rotate the horses over into this little area. It ran down there, and I got to looking at it, and I thought, you know, the horses are just going to eat that right back down to nothing. We still have dirt spots in here. We got huge cracks because of the drought. I'm like, and I'm not going to do it. So we ended up putting them back in the lot, and we are feeding them hay. So we put the horses back in the lot. I really didn't want to. My whole goal is to not feed hay during spring, summer, and fall. That they would have a sufficient amount of forage that they would not need to be supplemented with hay. But it just did not work this way with the drought and everything. It just didn't work. So in order to save our pasture for next year, hopefully it will grow back, come back, and have a head start for the following grazing season, we locked them up in the lot and gave them a round bale. Because that's just what we had to do. And sometimes it's not failing when you have to make those decisions. Those are smart management decisions, because either you sacrifice your ground, and we have like blue gray clay, it's really hard packed, and it just does not aerate well, it doesn't do well, and we either let them compact it even more and take it down to nothing, and then it struggles to come back even in the spring of the year with a lot of rain, and we get a lot of runoff, and everything at the bottom of the hill grows just fine because they don't like eating down by the trees very much because there is no breeze down there and the bugs are horrible. And so that grows down there really well. And then up here where they want to stand and stomp, it just doesn't come back. And so we have learned that even though we don't want to, it is not a fail. It is a management decision to put them in the lot and feed them a bale of hay and pray for rain. And while we are on the subject of lots, with horses, I feel it is very important that if you're going to rotationally graze them, you have a central watering point that they can stomp down to the dirt and do that. We have tried not putting them through the lot for water. We tried moving the water tank around with them, and everywhere the water tank went, this is what we got. We had one that the grass was super high. I mean, we're talking like 3 feet high, and they didn't hardly eat any of it, stomped it all down, and it took weeks for that grass to recover. And we've got 3 acres, so we need that recovery to be fairly quick if possible. And when they do stuff like this, there's no way that's recovering in, a short amount of time. So we've implemented the rule that they will have a central location where the water is, where they can go and they can hang out over the water and they can stomp their flies and swat each other's faces with their tails. And so what if that doesn't come back? Because it's not coming back anyway, but at least there's just one spot where it's not coming back versus a bunch of little spots all over the place where it's not going to come back. So when we built the lot, we had that in mind. So we put in 3 gates. There's a gate there, and there's a gate over here in the corner, and then I'm standing in front of a gate. And this was back when we had the three pasture system. And the thought process was that we would have them be able to get into the lot through one of these gates going into one of the pastures. And so then they wouldn't have any access at all to the other paddocks. And we still do that with the poly braid, but now we make like alleyways with the poly braid. And just know that we're kind of sacrificing a piece of the land. Like right here is where we had made an alleyway along the fence so they could go into the lot, and that was okay because that wire is not on, but they are actually able to graze up close underneath this poly braid and try to keep the fence kind of clean, because they was walking back and forth on this to get water and to get into their shelter, to get away from the horse flies and stuff like that. The most recent thing we've done to try to help our pasture is we got some sheep. We got 4 sheep. Now the sheep should eat what the horses do not want to eat. And they have a different sort of poop, they ruminate, and they're supposed to be really good for the land. And hopefully we'll make some money off of them, because we don't make any money off the horses, that's for sure. But yeah, so the sheep has been a really big experiment. That white one there, he's pretty flighty, and he will be for sale in November if anybody wants to butcher a lamb. And so we're rotating them. The horses are scared of them, which is funny. The one buckskin mule wants to herd it like like run it around and like herd it like you would herd cattle. And then the other black mule wants to stomp them into the ground. So running them as one herd, which was my dream, not gonna happen. So I'm in the process of trying to find a guardian dog or two. See, that white one just got up because he doesn't like me standing over here. He just doesn't. He's not very trusting. The other ones are just fine. So anyway, so that's our most recent combat for the pasture issue, is we run in the sheep. And so far it's been a really big learning curve. I mean, you can do all the research and education that you want, but when it comes right down to it, experience is the best learning tool available. And that's what we're getting right now, folks. So come along with us as we try to take our pasture from crappy to better, and follow through the journey, and maybe we can all learn something together. Have a great day.